you need jail time. Like, there's no doubt about it, because people are gonna, like Luna, there's gonna be lives lost, fortunes lost, families broken, friendships ruined, lives just decimated. And the worst thing about it, even worse than Do Kwon, was you spunked a fucking load of the money on a stadium and a load of fucking politicians' wages, you fucking cunt. Like, that is it. There's nothing. I can't add any more, mate.
Okay, welcome back to Degen Talk, episode 4. Number 4, as you can see by our handwritten signs on the wall and whatnot, we still don't have a sponsor. So if anyone out there does want to pay some money to listen to us to talk shit, not FTX by all accounts.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe scrap FTX off the list of sponsors.
Yeah, if any other exchange with some reserves actually do want to pay us and can afford it, feel free to. But first and foremost, how you doing, Bleeding?
Yeah, good. You know what? We're on Wednesday, we're recording this. It's been a fucking mad few days, obviously, with FTX. To be honest with you, I was actually really kind of in a positive mood before getting on this call to talk to you about FTX today. But actually, in the last few hours, I've just started to get a feeling of real anger, and I'm actually really quite pissed off about the whole situation. Yeah, I am. Yeah, and for anyone listening, the agenda today is purely FTX and Alameda, pretty much nothing else. A little market update at the end. That's about it, but we've got a lot to get into today.
I think there's more to talk about on that topic than we can possibly even do in a single podcast anyway, so I think we've got plenty to go through. But yeah, I think first and foremost is, from our last episode, shout out BitBoy.
Mate, I bet BitBoy has been in a fucking wanking coma for the last 24, 48 hours, hasn't he? He's been loving this.
Sam, I got you, Sam. I know you didn't think that, well, I guess you thought I was just kidding when I said get ready. No, bud. No. Hey, I know everything. I may know more than Caroline, to be honest with you. Every one of your enemies, Sam, they've joined up underneath me. And any information that you see coming out, you bet your bottom dollar, or if you still have dollars, that is, that somewhere along that line.
I think I did see him tweet something like, I caused this. And I was like, well, yeah, I was like, nearly, but no, shout out to Thin BitBoy.
Didn't he say something like, I took this guy's career? I think it was literally something like that.
I hope he did.
Fair play, BitBoy. Fair play. We did say we liked the energy, and you've come good this time. So
you were right. I think a few other people might have had more of a hand in the whole collapse in the last couple of days, but we're going to go into it. So I suppose we recap what the hell has gone on in the last 48, 72 hours. Do you want to give us a little lowdown? You've got a little few bits.
Yeah. Okay, we'll give a quick, short, sharp introduction as to what's gone down, and then we're going to get into some thoughts on it. But basically, in this week, we've had... Well, CoinDesk came out with an article, didn't they, last week, sort of highlighting the relationship with Alameda and FTX, and how there's some interesting, maybe dubious findings on Alameda's balance sheet relating to the FTT token. Mm-hmm. So that article highlighted a few concerns, and then we started to see quite a few Anon accounts come through and basically back up, what CoinDesk was saying, which I've not read CoinDesk for years. Are they actually still putting out decent alpha articles? Because fuck me, I've not paid attention to CoinDesk since 2014.
I tell you what, the one they have put out has just completely took down the crypto industry. So I think someone's doing the research.
Maybe I'll start reading CoinDesk again.
I wonder. I don't know if BitBoy ever actually released his scathing statements and whether it was this or not. But I don't so CoinDesk come out with a load of stuff, effectively saying that FTT was being used by Alameda to get a load of capital and whatnot, and it's caused a few issues on both balance sheets.
Yeah, we had then some anons coming out highlighting the same issues. We'll give a quick shout out. The first tweet I saw was from this guy here. It's not actually sharing it. There we go. This Duo9 on the 3rd of November. So this was the kind of first I saw of it, and we had quite a few other anon accounts kind of coming out and backing up the same thing, and then. We literally then had, where is he? CZ come out after that and say that he was going to basically liquidate his entire FTT position and compared it to Luna. So that really sent shit going. SBF came out next saying that everything was fine, which he's since deleted these tweets, by the way.
Yeah, I do want to touch on that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. A competitor is trying to go after us with false rumors. It's all fine. We had Caroline then come out and tweet that she was happy to buy all the FTT at $22 in an OTC deal.
Yeah, that's the CEO of Alameda, for anyone who doesn't know.
And then, regardless of whatever the fuck happened, whatever was true, we had a bank run on FTX regardless. So that then caused a whole lot of shit. We had FTT then start tanking below $22, and then 24 hours later, we literally had CZ come out and say he was going to be purchasing FTX, while Sam actually coming out first and saying, fucking, yeah, I give up. Here you go. CZ's amazing.
Yeah.
Totally written by a fucking lawyers, but it was funny.
I'd guarantee CZ was like, if I'm going to do this, you have to say that CZ's the fucking boy, for sure. That was definitely part of the deal.
So that's it. Have I missed anything out there? That's kind of it in a nutshell. Obviously, a shitload of stuff has happened since then, but that's it?
I think that's pretty much it. Probably one other thing is, in the last few hours, we've now got whether Binance are or are not going to go through with it based on the financials. So,
true.
Yeah, pretty much a year's worth of crypto drama packed within maybe 48, 72 hours, and it has been ruthless.
And that's what I said to you at the start. I was, quite in a light-hearted mood. Famous Do Kwon saying, I like watching things blow up. It's quite funny. Luckily, I'm not affected. But after seeing the tweets of people that are affected and, people in the Discord group that are affected, I'm now in that kind of pissed off mood. And what really triggered me was when I actually thought about the fact that if people actually have lost loads of money here and CZ does pull out, the people that have lost money, SBF has essentially taken people's money, bro. Played and fucking gambled with it. Not only that, but the worst thing he's done is he's given it to politicians. He's taken your money and he's spunked it to cunty politicians in Washington to try and gain a political position, and everyone's fucking lost.
What was it? Best part of 50 mil to the Biden party, I think, the last time out. Hundreds of millions on sports sponsorships. I know Tom Brady's been wrecked in all this. FTX Arena is no longer going to be FTX Arena. I think it's been critical, and like you say, and it's not just like, unlike Luna, and there are some similarities to Luna which we should probably touch on, but unlike Luna, it would, like, the amount of people being wrecked, like you said, the Twitter anon accounts, it's some big boys, tens of millions, like people who have, entire bull runs worth of gains here, because the Luna situation was somewhat of a kind of a clearer Ponzi when you look at the architecture of it all. This was a centralized crypto exchange who you should have more or less all of your trust in. And I know crypto exchanges over the years haven't had the best of times, but when you look at number two, you would argue maybe 2 or 3, Coinbase, Binance being obviously the kings. Number 3, probably one of the most revered exchanges, FTX. It felt unreal even 24 hours ago. It felt unreal before the true kind of tweet from FTX. So you can't even blame people here, and it's catastrophic, and it's going to be catastrophic going forward.
Yeah, that's the impression that I get. I feel that this blow up has been way more like stealth than Luna. I felt like, yeah, a lot of Luna people got wrecked. You know, it was $60 billion. There's a lot more capital there, but I kind of can look at some of the lunatics and be a bit like, yeah, well, fucking, you know, you put your money in that shit. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But like you said, a centralized exchange. We're obviously crypto diehards, so we understand that keeping majority in cold storage is the way to go. But
bare minimum, at least on chain, somewhere like something that you trust, you know, someone that's out of someone else's hands, like.
But I still completely feel for this situation because it did happen so quickly. You know, we had the Caroline tweets, we had the SBF tweets saying it was all fine, and then boom, done. Right, withdrawals halted. So yeah, mate, I'm actually fucking fuming, to be honest. Like, I think that this is really a bridge too far in terms of what's potentially happened here, and I think it's really going to come out and get worse as time goes on. We're going to learn a lot more. It'll be exactly the same as Suzu, you know, where we find out that they were, you know, 100x leverage long come Rocket Coin, and they were buying a boat against that position. And you just
it's
fucking what?
Yeah, there's something about it being FTX and SBF. You know, there's a lot of trust placed in them, and you know, they went to town on making sure every single retail and every individual knew and went to trade on FTX. And then, you know, the one thing with the difference with Luna is Luna were offering 20% APR, and if you sat down and think about that for a few hours, you can probably say, well, something's amiss there. With these guys, it was people just holding their funds for a rainy day. People probably cashed out from a bull run and left them on there waiting for
people trying to be conservative, maybe, you know, people not gambling. They're like, I'm just going to go in stables, I'm going to go on FTX and stake it, and I'm just going to chill. Like, really bad, mate. Let's get into some of the shit, because this has got layers of shit.
I think a good place to start, or like I'd like to start, is maybe just defining who Alameda are, maybe for anyone who doesn't know, and kind of where that started. Obviously, so you've got Samuel Bankman-Fried, SBF, who was the founder of Alameda Research, which is a venture capitalist firm, market maker. You know, they invest in projects, they trade the markets to kind of make some money. But this is a separate firm after Alameda was founded. Then FTX was born to be the super exchange, and that was kind of the second product. And the key issue here was kind of stemming from their two's unsavory relationship. Well, unsavory in hindsight now, and unhealthy relationship, more or less from the get-go, right?
Yeah, and so basically what we think, what's out there at the moment, and what's currently being speculated on, is what they were doing with the FTT token, and that's really the key thing here. And I'll just share the infographic of the flywheel scam, basically. So yeah, you know, create token. This is FTX. You know, create the FTT token, pump the token price, market gains to balance sheet, show gains to investors, raise cash through equity loans and sales. So basically, what they're able to do with FTT token, what they did apparently, is send Alameda FTT. $100 million of FTT. Alameda go and loan that out. They leverage it. They stake it. They basically use those assets to leverage, and then or convert it into real cash and send it back to FTX, or have that appear as collateral and on their balance sheet that they can do stuff with Alameda. And apparently those two entities were completely separate. Nothing going on there at all. But
the most obvious lie that's ever been told, and we all kind of knew it, but you didn't quite think they were. Like, if there's any conflict of interest, you know, especially with FTF going to every regulatory authority, you thought there's no way that they're doing anything too shafted there. I think the interesting thing, a lot of the printed FTT, so FTX could effectively print or create FTT or unlock FTT and loan it to Alameda. But I think one of the core issues on this liquidity run is a lot of that was locked. So they couldn't even sell it, but it was on their balance sheet, like you were saying. Yeah. They've got 10 billion assets under management, several billion of it is FTT that can't be sold, moved, but it's got this price because everyone's believing this effective flywheel. Alameda go and invest in projects, raise money, goes back to FTT, and effectively, it's free cash built on nothing that can be sold or moved around, or it's nothing liquid at all.
And the other issue as well is, one thing that we don't know is, so FTT's worthless, basically, completely worthless. And Alameda have obviously invested so much money, and I mean so much money. I'll add the infographic after the recording, but there's a diagram of some of the major projects that Alameda have invested in, and it's some of them hundreds of millions. There's so many of them. Do we know whether, and this is what's going to potentially cause crazy contagion, is do we know if they provided funding to those projects with FTT? Because if they have, then that's a fucking problem.
Well, we were mentioning that, weren't we? We don't know. Again, obviously, they lead around for 300 mil into this Miston Labs, who've, is this new SUI blockchain and stuff. We were speculating on this. Is the capital that they've paid with that capital that they've lent based on their FTT holdings into that, i.e. they've paid with USDC, or they've paid with dollars, they've paid with something that's tangible, or have some of these projects been funded on the premise of that in FTT tokens? Which, if that's the case, all of these projects are going to be in trouble. And again, for everyone at home, we're just speculating here. We don't know the inside and outs of these agreements, so we're just speculating. It can be one of the two. Either the people who lent them the money based on the FTT they had are screwed, BlockFi, lenders, whoever that's going to be, or these core projects that have raised and have took that as their raise amount, their collateral, they're screwed as well. So the contagion, the knock-on effect of this is probably entrenched so deep that if we find out in the next few weeks and months, it's going to shock everyone. You can tell.
Mate, do you remember every IDO, Alameda, top investor, Alameda. And
yeah.
It was wild to watch it in real time, and you didn't think about it. But what makes me really concerned that probably likely is the case is CZ was obviously a huge investor in FTX a year or two ago.
Yeah.
He cashed out that investment last year, and a huge part of that payout was in FTT. So it makes me think these guys had FTT like coming out their arse, mate, and they were using it left, right, and center as collateral wherever they could.
Yeah, and then it just lends itself to the fact that there was no the incentive to keep FTT's token price up was just simply on the basis of all of that. They had this free money printing machine of these artificial tokens, and this is where you can see the point that Bitcoin maxis make of shitcoins, because they just completely manifested manipulating capital out of nothing, which effectively can be worthless at any moment. And
mate, when you talked about how important it was that FTT kept its peg, genuinely, it was when I saw Caroline tweet out that they're happy to buy all the FTT that they can at $22 that I sent a message to the group to say, get your shit off FTX now, because it's it was like watching Do Kwon 2.0. It was just like watching the whole thing play out again. Like, it was so obvious, and people saw straight through it as well. Like, people fucking knew.
Not enough. Like you say, we all thought, holy shit, something's amiss here. But again, you never think FTX is 72 hours away from insolvency. That just never seemed real, did it? Like, you just thought, wow, they're going to be in trouble here. And then just touching on that, the Luna comparisons, again, they're two completely different situations. At the end of the day, it's two individuals and businesses with complete degeneracy at their core. But we were talking about it. SBF's tweets in the past 2 months, buying FTT on the open market and telling everyone about it.
Exactly, mate. We said that. I remember saying to the group, it makes me uncomfortable the way SBF tweets about burning FTT. Like, there's something about it that doesn't feel good. Whether it's to entice retail or what, I didn't know. But it just didn't feel good that he was doing that. And obviously now it makes so much sense that keeping FTT up was the main priority.
You know, maybe to ourselves who've been in crypto for several years now, or even to the people who've watched it as intently as we have maybe for the last 12 months and have seen Luna and stuff, even the comments, I don't think it didn't work as it maybe would have worked 12 months ago with SBF. Like, people could sniff it out a bit. You were like, if you were that, you know, if you were that confident in buying your own token and burning it or whatever the hell you were doing, you want other people to be tweeting that, and you're doing it in the background, and they're like, look, these guys are doing this on the slide, and that's positive. But he was announcing it 5, 6, 7, 8 times. I can't remember how many now. And every time it was like, that is not good. Something's amiss.
He tried to salvage it, didn't he, with this tweet, which has been deleted. There's the Caroline one. Happily buy all at $22.
What is it? What is it right now? $3?
It's like fucking $3. What is it right now? Fucking $3. So
look at that candle. Look at that fucking
load of that. A competitor is trying to go after us with false rumors. FTX is fine. Assets are fine. FTX has enough to cover all client holdings. We don't invest client assets, even treasuries. We've been processing all withdrawals, continue to be some withdrawals, delays, blah, 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 blah.
So the only bit of truth in that, well, actually, none of that is true, apart from the fact I was going to say maybe the first line is true, but the rumors weren't false. FTX weren't fine. The assets weren't fine. You don't have enough to cover all client holdings. You did invest client assets, and you won't be able to process withdrawals anytime soon.
After Caroline's tweet, that tweet from Sam was the last hurrah. It was the last.
Yeah. That was the hold steady, lads, deploying more capital, right?
Correct. That was exactly it, mate. That was exactly it.
God, did not expect it of him. Like, it's the worst thing about the tweets we were talking about, like buying them back, buying the stuff. That the writing was on the wall. They knew then. They knew something's been up for a while, right? For you to be, they've been swimming naked, and they've been trying the best to find the shorts somewhere, and it's just too deep.
So I'm going to show you something fucked up now, and I don't know if you know about this already, but so the speculation is that Alameda should have gone completely belly up when Luna collapsed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Apparently that's when it should have happened, and there was a really good tweet.
You see, it's 3 Hours Capital didn't have an FTX to bail them out, right?
Exactly. It's this tweet from Lucas Nuzzi. I found evidence that FTX might have provided a massive bailout for Alameda in Q2, which has now come back to haunt them. So 40 days ago, 173 million FTT tokens worth over $4 billion became active on-chain. So as well as this, right, there's another tweet where basically FTX changed part of their user agreement the day after Luna collapsed to say that any fiat and crypto deposits on the platform had no bearing, like you have no legal rights over them. Apparently that was a silent release, an update to the terms and conditions that they did.
Wow.
A couple of days after Luna collapsed. So therefore, surely you have to then say that SBF knew about this. Because I've heard that's some speculation. SBF didn't know.
Oh, come on.
SBF didn't know.
The one thing that you would say about SBF, he's quite clearly a genius in many respects, and obviously maybe too good for his own good. But FTX delivered products, like he knew what was going on there. Surely, we don't know. We're just talking as two degens sat at home talking about it.
SBF retired himself from Alameda, mate. He officially left. I'm not part of Alameda anymore. And then you also had the head of compliance leave. The CEO of Alameda left a few months ago. That's why you've got Caroline, who's so underqualified, it's ridiculous. as this interim CEO of Alameda. So they knew what was happening.
Yeah.
They knew.
And do you know what's most insane about this? So, again, we were talking about it. Alameda, 12 months ago, 18 months ago, if their name was at the top of the investor sheet, you were buzzing. You were like, these guys have got, because they were a successful trading firm before this over-leveraged position. And the amount of 100x tokens these guys got in with millions of dollars, and they find themselves in this position just exemplifies how disgraceful it all is. Do you know what I mean? What you're telling me, Bill down the road, who's got his little $1,000, $2,000 stack in the bull run, has been able to retain more profits than all of this opportunity with all of this capital? Like,
mate, how am I still solvent as a fucking retard? How am I still solvent? And FTX, Sam SBF has just gone under. Like, who I thought was genius.
Did you see SBF? Forbes reported on it today. Again, SBF's net worth dropped by 94%. 2 days ago, he was on paper worth 16 billion. Today, he's worth 990 million.
Worth 990 million, mate. You might go to jail. Like, this is like you might be in jail, mate, because not only did we have the whole fucked up FTT situation, when that went so far, when that crossed a certain level, it then crept into, right, this is now going to be eaten into user funds. If this plan fucks up, this is now going to be user funds at risk. At some point, that line was crossed, and he was happy to cross it, and he crossed it, and he risked it all the chips on the table. I'm pretty sure the fucking FTX advert, mate, is be bold or fucking or fuck off. Honestly, it's actually
it's funny. It's funny you should say it, because the entire legal team, as I've read on Twitter, has just resigned today, and they're now being investigated by the SEC. Right?
Gone. It's fucked. It's so fucked. And the fact, mate, that you're giving your money to, like, trying to play some political game and giving all that money, donations to the Biden campaign, and your fucking customers over is the main reason why I've come onto this podcast, and I'm fuming.
Yeah.
Fuming. More fuming than what I was with Do Kwon, because with Do Kwon, it was like, once things happened, he had no control. Once that death spiral started, and people, some smart traders with a lot of money, understood how they could depeg USDT, it was game over. Whereas this is sickening on a different level.
Yeah, and it kind of felt like there's no excuses for Do Kwon. Like, let's get him locked up as well.
Watching him on Up Only the other day was, him and Martin Shkreli, I was just mind blown, mate, on the day.
That just goes to show how much of a meme this week has been. We'll get the clip up. Shout out to Up Only. Obviously, another podcast on YouTube from some goats.
It's good to be here. Hey, Doe, I just wanted to let you know jail's not that bad. It sucks, but it's not the worst thing ever. So don't fret if that. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it's not that bad.
Good to know.
I mean, you haven't been to South Korea, Vanzo.
Oh my god.
The fact that they clearly knew, like with Do Kwon, it just seemed to get away from him. Like, SBF and FTX have been pulling the strings for far too long now, and whether you don't want to say they had it coming to him. I think. What do you think then? So this was all the Tinder. All of this in the background was the ticking time bomb, the fuse. Let's talk about the fuse.
Yeah, because this is interesting.
CZ has just absolutely Game of Thrones the shit out of the entire cryptoverse and won the game in 4 days. And it started with a couple of tweets. Should we look at the tweets? I think I might have them.
Compared it to Luna.
Let's get our friend CZ's. Yeah, so he compared it to Luna. And then openly went, we've looked at it, haven't we? Openly went and sold a bunch. So this is what started the whole cascade, right? This is what kind of sent it into another realm. And there was a few things in previous months. There was a tweet from SBF where he was taking the piss out of CZ not being able to go to Washington, wasn't there? And where do you think this started? Was it a power play? Was it a revenge play?
Yeah, I'll give you it. I've thought about this a lot. So he obviously invested in FTX at a really early stage. CC is very smart. Obviously, very smart. He may look like a fucking absolute dog, but the guy is clever. So it got off to a good start. He invested heavily in FTX, helped it grow. Obviously, kind of understood that there can't just be one huge player because he's all about decentralization, freedom of money. And he saw SBF obviously had potential, so invested heavily in FTX. So the relationship's great. Bull run relationship's great. Obviously, as soon as we start entering a bear market, and CZ saw that FTX was growing pretty quickly, like very quickly, uncomfortably quick, maybe would be the way to put it. Like, holy shit, they're really putting numbers in. So he started divesting his stake last year, cashing out of FTX, which is standard. You see that in the real world a lot.
Yeah, I think he stole his stake in one of these huge rounds, where he raised capital.
Yeah,
that's where he got out
really early.
And others got in. Yeah, when the bull run started going off. Really
early on. And then I think you saw after that, you really started to see SBF push the political agenda really hard, because I think that SBF recognized, it's pure speculation, but I think SBF recognized that in order for me to become the biggest, I need to not only leverage the fuck out of the market and be a greedy motherfucker and leverage the fuck out of Alameda and what we can do there, I need to take customers, and I also need to use the current political situation with China to my advantage. I need to build relationships in Washington. I need to lobby. I need to back people and that are going to be put into really high positions. And eventually, what I'll be able to do is leverage that political pressure, coupled with the fact that China and US are in a really bad place, and I'll be able to take a huge chunk of market share. I'll be able to take the whole of the US, which is probably where a lot of the volume is placed, and then probably take the whole of Europe as well. And I think that CZ saw that, and he felt, and not only that, but like you just said there, the fucking snarky little tweets from SBF about him not being able to go to Washington because he's Chinese. CZ thought, yeah, you know what? Like, I think I see what's potentially coming here, so I might just, nip this in the bud while I can. And I think that there was obviously a really good timing thing for him with the Coinbase article coming out. You started to feel with, SBF's DeFi bill, it was quite, scathing, really. No one liked it. It was all quite political. And then he had that interview with, what are the names?
Where he couldn't explain why email shouldn't have KYC and that,
had that interview, and that put a lot of doubt in people's minds. So I think it just became a point where he thought, yeah, you know what, if I'm going to take him down, it'll be now. So I'll start fucking banging this out.
It'd be interesting because obviously Binance have come out, they've said, it wasn't strategic. I think there's an element of got him, but at the same time, although this is blowing the crypto market up, better to do it now than when FTX is worth $500 billion, right? And it could have gone another 10x from now. And to be honest, I think it is the absolute GOAT play from CZ. And to be honest, I think it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, didn't it? Like, FTX were in massive trouble, but this this couldn't have been worse for it to come to realization, because he pressed the trigger at that point. He lit the fuse, and the writing was on the wall at that point.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's amazing. It was amazing just watching it play out, because I was watching it all on chain, and within a couple of days it was like $500 million worth of Bitcoin had been taken off FTX, before anything real came out. So he just started a bank run, and I think you can even see right now that, because I'm even looking on chain right now, and you can see that Binance is getting a bank run. Like, every exchange right now is experiencing a bank run.
Yeah.
So it's pressuring everyone. Why do I think he did it?
Because I think for me, I don't think it
was it for market share.
Well, I'm not sure it was. I think it was more. It felt like a little bit of revenge, and I think just the opportunity of a lifetime presented itself. Why would you let someone who is threatening, that much of a threat to your business, and doing it in a completely unscrupulous way, kind of get away with it? Did he think this was going to happen? He said in his own tweet he didn't expect FTX to ring him up and say, "Can you buy FTX off us?" So it was. It's all happened so quick. That's another thing that just shocked me. Like, it happened. It's happened immensely fast, and I think that says so much about how bad it was. Like, if they did have any runway and they did have any semblance of being able to keep this together, it wouldn't have took 4 days to take down the third biggest exchange in the world. And someone who's worth that much money and a team that big, and
I've got some.
And we're going to probably find out in the next few days, next few weeks, how bad it really was.
So apparently, I don't know if you've heard this, bro, but apparently when it all blew up, yeah, you're right. Like, holy fuck, it happened that quick. Like, it happened that quick. SBF bowed like within 24 hours. Like, what the fuck? Like, yeah. So this is why it's so concerning, because it must be so bad that was the case. And apparently, and this is rumors, but apparently they were fucking getting in touch with Elon Musk to see if Elon Musk could give them $1 billion. And then apparently by the afternoon, bro, they were trying to raise $6 billion.
I think that's it. I've read 6 billion as well. And this whole episode is speculation. None of this, do your own research, whatever you want. But
we're just following it in real time, and going off what Twitter's saying, which is generally actually not a bad source of information. There's
no smoke without fire, right? There's usually a finger on the pulse somewhere along the line, and the actions kind of back it up. SBS tweets were soon proven to be absolute bullshit, so I think you've kind of got to go with the sentiment. I think what's interesting now, and I think it's worth talking about, is there's a couple of scenarios here for FTX and the crypto industry as a whole. So number one is Binance drop out of the deal, and every user's funds most likely are probably screwed on the platform. That's going to have to go back to all the debtors and whatnot, all the creditors. Number two is it's so bad, but Binance will still go ahead. Maybe they can't pay everyone out in full. Or number three, that they do actually purchase it. And I think this all comes down to how big the hole actually is. And that is going to be the next big critical thing that we hear probably by the end of the week. We're probably going to know by the end of the week, which is just insane. And
how big is the hole?
Yeah, how big is the hole? And for people who've got their users on there, this is horrendous to say. That them finances are kind of in the ether right now, and just cross your fingers, we'll do the same. Again, we escaped unscathed, right? We didn't hold nothing on FTX. We're from the UK. It's not the best platform for us, but they're the three scenarios, and that's how this is still unfolding now in real time. And the next big thing we need to know is, will they buy Binance? And if the finances are too bad, can you blame CZ for not paying out? You can't. Like, it's just business.
Can you fuck, bro? Can you fuck blame him for doing that? I think it is going to end in a scenario where he looks at the books and it's going to be way more shocking than anyone thinks. And like, you know, you might get a situation where, to be honest, mate, if he just goes, because he's worth a lot of money, Binance obviously has a lot of money, I hope and pray and think. But yeah, fuck me, we'll get onto that. But
we're all, if that
he could, you know, he could enter God mode where he's just like, you know what, guys, there's a fucking $10 billion hole here. I've just about got the money for it, but I'm gonna do it to save the fucking whole space. And everyone's just like, seize it.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Or he does probably what's, you know, the other two options, which are probably the most likely, which is he looks at it and goes, holy fuck, this is a mess. And we end up getting like 25% of user funds covered. And he's just like, I can afford a bit of this, guys, but I'm not taking the whole fucking punch. Or, which is probably honestly the most likely option, he just goes, fuck that.
And that, again, unfortunately, they're the murmurs right now, aren't they? And yeah, I think if it's $1 billion, he stumps it up. If it's $2 billion, he maybe stumps it up. If it's anything over that, it's probably a partial payout. If it's anything over $3, $4, $5 billion, like why bother? They already own the crypto market.
To be honest with you, though, bro, this leaves us in a very uncomfortable position because, and I've only really thought about this recently because I have a lot of assets in BUSD on Binance, and it makes me uncomfortable that there's now only really one really big controlling entity, and how tied are they to Xi Jinping and the Chinese government? I don't know. I really don't have a fucking clue. But the way that CZ's played this is classic Chinese politics of patience, waiting for the right moment and doing what you need to do right in the moment.
It's much more like the art of war than anything.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It concerns me. It really does genuinely concern me that.
One thing I would say that from what I do know about Binance is, you know, their headquarters left China because of the regulatory restrictions. So I don't think, I'm not too concerned about the Chinese ties here and the influence over Binance in that sense, because when they ban mining or they ban this and they ban crypto, then Binance would have, you know, had to suck eggs at that point. So I'm not too concerned from that angle, but I am very much concerned about what you've just said there is you don't want one central entity to hold all the, not just regulate all the trading, but they will hold most of the Bitcoin, they'll hold most of the assets. Like, it'll all be on this one spot. Not that I think they're at risk of being hacked or anything, but a monopoly doesn't. There's one thing that a US government and global government hate more than crypto, and it's probably a monopoly. So, like, when you've got a crypto monopoly, we really are in a bit of trouble there. And having that one central point of all crypto business is just not healthy for anyone.
Exactly.
So,
and it is the political situation at the moment, which again just adds to those concerns. You know, take this back like 2 years ago, I'd have been like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. But the fact that the China-US tensions are really quite high at the moment just makes me kind of think that the US will look at crypto a little bit differently if they're like, okay, so the majority of trade's controlled by a Chinese entity. What do we think about this here?
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions, man. There's a lot of questions.
I think that's probably a nice point to move on to. So, you know, what are the ripple effects from here? What are the butterfly effects? And I think one thing to flip what you've just said is I hope, again, I think assets, we've said this at the start, I think most of your coins, particularly if you're not active trading, if you hold Bitcoin, stables and stuff, they're either better in your private wallets on chain, on Ethereum or even BSC or something. If you're going to hold your assets on chain, so you hold the keys so this can't happen to you, or even better in a hard wallet, of course. I just hope now that maybe we see some better some more on-chain products, some things. Again, it's not like dexes and bridges have a good fucking reputation as it is or anything, but I think even CZ is a proponent of decentralization, and if anything, if 2022 has taught us one thing, it is that crypto needs that more than anything, and even CZ himself knows that. I think he's come out and said it as well. So it's just crazy to see where we go from here. And yeah, maybe if you're new to crypto, this is a seismic event.
Where do we go from here? Well, you know, before we get on to maybe like what are some of the good things that are going to come out of this? I mean, like I'm in doom and gloom mode still a bit here, mate. Yeah. So here's an interesting one. So where do we go from here? I mean, you know, if we compare it to the rest of the market at the moment, my thesis has always been we're going much lower by year end. You know, S&P lower, everything lower. It's all fucked. We're going to enter a stagflation environment, and it's grim. I think that crypto is just foreshadowing what's going to happen within the stock market in terms of blow-ups, leverage, etc. And one of the most disturbing things that I heard about the whole of this situation with FTX was that you had the Ontario Pension Fund investing in FTX at the round C investment stage at a $30 billion valuation.
Yeah.
They invested hundreds of millions with FTX at a $30 billion valuation, which has gone to zero.
Yeah.
You had SoftBank, Circle, Rabbit, you had VanEck, Tiger Global, BlackRock, all invested in FTX, and it's gone to fucking zero. You know, it'll probably be sold to a fucking dollar to CZ if he even can be arsed touching it. So I think that, to be honest, man, we're going to see this and a load of other shit. You know, I still think we're going to see new lows in the stocks. So we've got to enter a period now of panic, anger, depression, and everything else. I just feel like that has to play out before anything.
Yeah.
You know, like we've spoken about, what innovation have we actually had here? Like, apart from a few decentralized DeFi protocols, you know, Aave and, you know, Comp, I think are great, but there's been fucking no innovation, mate. There's just been leveraged up to the tits, Ponzi schemes, fake value being created all over the place. There's just nothing. I don't know what to say to you, mate. Really, I mean,
yeah, I don't know. I'm still think we do have more than we've ever had. I think Web3 as a broad thing is probably the most interesting thing in crypto. Whether that's going to be gaming, again, DeFi is going to be hugely important. All of that side of things. But yeah, I think going forward, we're probably in for some shit. But for me, as bad as this is, I'm excited. I hope a lot of people turn their backs in some senses, because I'll pick up a load of this stuff cheap. You know,
yeah.
I'm not too bothered about that. Like, I still think the value of the blockchain is there, and they're just these unscrupulous, absolute degenerate, leveraged, ridiculous, narcissistic billionaires that have just made so much money and lost so much money for so many people. Like, what's left now? We lost the biggest gainer of the last bull run, Luna, with a $40 billion market cap. We lost one of the biggest venture capitalists with 3 Arrows Capital. We've now lost the third biggest exchange and one of the biggest other VCs. Like, I don't want to say that what's left because I'm jinxing it, but it's like we're down. You know, we're in trouble, and yeah, I do think it's going to last a bit longer.
It's disgusting, mate. It really is. It's like you said. Where the fuck do we go from here? Like, if CZ doesn't buy FTX and fulfill 25% at least of balances, it's going to be a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
Absolute shit show.
Even at 25%, it's a shit show. It's people are going to be...
It is. But I still think at 25%, you still get that feeling of fuck. I kind of at least have salvaged something. Exactly how I felt with Mt. Gox. It was kind of like, oh well, at least I've got something back years later. But it's not good, man. It's not good.
No.
Like it.
No, it's clearly bad. And we spoke about it towards the start. The contagion of this one is far bigger than Luna, because there's other sides of it of, you know, adoption. Where do retail come in? They come in through a centralized exchange. You can't. You have to come in, and that's kind of been eroded massively. How many years has it set back? Months, years of people, you know, either wanting to get back in, or after this year's worth of news, like, it's kind of getting pretty hard to stop telling. When people say crypto's a scam, it's kind of getting quite hard to tell them, nah, you just don't get it, or it's volatile.
Yeah, man. But I mean, you know, it's not just crypto. It's finding out that the fucking Ontario pension fund in Canada, the teachers' pension fund in Canada, has decided to invest a shitload of money in FTX in a $30 billion valuation.
Yeah, who's making that decision?
Not just crypto, everything. It's all fucking lies, bullshit, fluffy valuations built from fucking nothing, man. And this is just what it's been since the whole. You can take this back to 1980s, where Greenspan the Fed put in place and just decided to print money endlessly. You know, the value of money's been forgotten, and it's just been a whole fucking, you know, multiple decades of lies and bullshit. And I'm like, seeing this is disgusting, mate. If he's fucking traded, you know, I've even heard and this might come out soon, but I've even heard he might have been trading stocks with public funds.
Yeah. Well, if it does come out, you know.
How does this, mate? Mate, how do you fucking lose when you own an exchange and you can see where everyone's buy and sell orders are? You can see where all the liquidity is. You can see where everyone's deciding, you know, where everyone thinks that the market is going to go. You basically have like God mode sort of indicators on the market, and you still go bust.
Yeah. Well, you see, the thing was, they weren't like they're one of the most profitable arbitrage. Alameda are hugely profitable. FTX was hugely profitable. They make loads of money, but not enough money to overtake Binance in 3 years or whatever these obscene goals were. And that's where the issue come in. I think I read Alameda were making $5 million a day in terms of their trades, the size, market making, $5 million a day. But who wants to make $5 million a day when you can make $500 million a day? That was just literally the attitude, I think, across the board here. I think FTX wanted to become the number one exchange, and they wanted to do it. It's the same way that Suzu wanted to become, I say Suzu, Three Arrows Capital. Like, it's not just him or anything like that. He's just the most recognizable. They just wanted to be the biggest. They wanted to have the biggest stat. They wanted to do it quicker than anyone. They wanted to use every bit of leverage in terms of personal brand, all of that, and it's just come back to bite them on the arse, and it's just come back to bite everyone. And yeah, it's hugely negative for crypto, and we're in trouble. We're going to probably pay for it now. Well, the market's already paying for it. We're down 10%, like total market cap today alone. Probably most altcoins 20%. Sol 30-40%, FTT 80-90%. It's insane. It's insane. What a few days. What a few days.
It couldn't be worse, man. It just couldn't be worse. Like,
but yeah.
Yeah, man. You know what? Like, I don't have much more to comment on it. I think we should wrap up very soon.
Yeah, I think.
Is there any closing thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think with this one, I saw a few people. We mentioned it towards the start again. This is unlike Luna. Like this is affected everyone. I've seen a guy on Twitter, Alex Weiss, bit of a degen. I remember him in the bull run making. I remember having 100 mil stack, and I remember having a 60 mil loss in 3 days. And he tweeted that he's had his entire net worth on FTX. And if someone's gone from 100 mil to close to zero, maybe not zero, but crypto stack zero in a year or something, it's going to have affected so many people. And, you know, if anyone's watching this and it is you, I hope CZ comes in and picks up the pieces here, not just for you, for the crypto industry as a whole, but it's got to stop this, hasn't it? Like we can't have another one of these. Since Mount Gox, we've had 3 of these events in a year.
This is a different animal, mate. This is like you knew what was going on. You were gambling user funds. This is like another level of criminality. To be honest with you, if CZ does pull out the deal and people lose everything, I hope that SBF gets a minimum of 5 years in prison. Like, even if it's just a cushy financial multi-billionaire position at prison, I don't care. I think that he should serve time for this, if this is the case. You know, some of the facts we've outlaid today, if they're true, you need jail time. Like, there's no doubt about it, because people are going to, you know, like Luna, there's going to be lives lost, fortunes lost, families broken, friendships ruined, lives just decimated. And the worst thing about it, even worse than Do Kwon, was you spunked a fucking load of the money on a stadium and a load of fucking politicians' wages, you fucking cunt. Like, that is it. There's nothing. I can't add any more, mate. Until we get more information out, that's how I feel about it. And
yeah, all views are our own.
Yeah, fuck me. This won't get up on YouTube without getting fucking banned, will it?
Even if we were getting monetized, that I don't think we're getting it after that. But no, yeah, I think that's about it. Again, we'll probably be talking about this for a few weeks, I'm sure. In a week or two's time, when we do another one of these, God knows what's going to happen. I just hope crypto gets its shit together, and if not, personally, all we can do is buy a bit of pain and hope for the best, you know?
Yeah, try and stay alive. Stay alive for the bear market, and just keep stacking Bitcoin.
Yeah. Keep stacking Bitcoin, keep your shit off exchanges if you can.
It's the only one. Easy. All right, man.
All right, bro. Well, peace and love. We'll catch everyone in the next episode. That was pretty negative, but it's exactly what's been going on this week. Historic moments. Also, just to clock things off, we had Suzu back on Twitter, Do Kwon on Up Only.
Surreal moment.
Just put crypto into Twitter if you're not from in the space, and yeah, read some absolute madness. Peace.